Hello everyone, Clutch here from the Sodak Motorcycle blog. Hopefully all's going well with you. You're tuned in. This is part 3 of the Iron Butt series. And the title of this episode is called Prepare. Now you've already gone through your self-assessment, so you made it past that step. And you've already planned out your route, and you probably got a pretty epic route planned. You probably got 3 or 4 really good routes planned, but now we're coming up to the next step. This is kind of your final preparations, your final things you got to do, final things you need to set you up for success. So, with this planning, one of your big parts, this is going to be what we call in the military is your sustainment. Basically, we're talking about food, water, stuff like that. So, you want to have plenty of food and you want to have plenty of water for a trip. And you don't want to rely on the gas stations, the truck stops to for your food and your water and all that stuff. Because let's be honest, if you got to sit in line for 5 to 10 extra minutes at every stop to get a drink of water or get a Gatorade or something like that, that's just time that you're wasting that you could be out on the road. Because once again, we've talked about before, the stops are all about maximizing efficiency. They're all about wasting as little time as you can. So as far as water goes, you're going to want probably at least a half gallon if you're going 1,000 miles. Honestly, I'd suggest, 1 gallon would be better. Go to the store, just buy a gallon of water. And don't worry about being cold or nothing. Just get yourself just a straight up, just a gallon of water, and just kind of drink out of that. That will help you considerably. You can keep filling your canteen out of that, stuff like that. Also, if you're don't want to rely on stimulants. Biggest thing is caffeine to keep you awake. I mean, if you're dead tired, you need to stop and just rest for a second. Don't rely on caffeine to keep you awake. And also, it's part of the deal with Iron Butt Association. You can drink coffee, you can take caffeine with you, but you just can't rely on it to keep you awake. You can't be going and doing your run and then at the end of it making up and talking about how the only reason you could stay alive was drinking so much coffee and you barely kept you awake, stuff like that. Because if you do that, they're going to revoke your certificate. So they've gotten a bad rap for a few years because you can't even drink coffee. Now that's a lie. It's relying on those stimulants to keep you awake. And honestly, if you're like me, if you're a coffee drinker, you know what, fill up a thermos and take it with you. That's what I did. And honestly, I like the taste of coffee, and it's kind of one of those things. It's just part of my day, and it's nice when it's cold out on the road. You can pull over the side of the road, or if you got a modular helmet, it's kind of nice. You got a nice warm thermos of coffee there. If you got a nice little cup that keeps it all warm, take a couple sips of coffee. It's amazing what it'll do for you at 3 in the morning when you're freezing cold. As far as eats goes, I'd get quick eats. You want quick stuff like what I did with mine is I swear by this because I love them. Pop-Tarts. Just buy yourself. I bought a box of a 16-pack of Pop-Tarts. One of those gets 2 to a pack. And when I was hungry to stop, I'd munch down one of those real quick. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes to munch down some of those, and it kind of keeps the hunger pangs at bay because, well, it's one of those things I kind of truly fight with is sometimes is when I kind of get hungry. I need to eat something. Well, at least that's something quick and easy that you could eat. Also, you could do, power bars, Lara bars, anything like that. Any kind of something that's quick and easy that you can eat real quick that you don't have to worry about keeping cold would be highly suggested. I've said this before with the gas stations. Use the gas stations for fuel and restrooms. Don't use them for food or drink or anything else. Use them for fuel and restrooms. That's all you should be doing it there. Fill up, get off the bike, go in, use the restroom, get back out, snarf down a Pop-Tart or a power bar, and then keep going. No dinking around, none of that stuff at the gas station. Now, if you do want to sit down for a meal, which that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you want to, stop in the middle and say, you know what, I want to just sit down for half an hour. I want to relax. I want to eat a meal. Okay, go for it. Biggest thing is, plan it wisely and make it quick. I know, I think when Motorcyclist Magazine, I think it was them that did an Iron Butt run a few years ago, and they went and ate supper at Texas Roadhouse. I would not suggest a big time sit down restaurant like that. I mean, something like maybe like a Subway, something like that you can get in and get out quickly. You don't have to sit down and wait for a while. And also along with that, when you're planning what you're going to eat, don't eat something that's going to make you sick. if you know Mexican, or if you know, like, you know, whatever food, let's say Mexican food, Chinese foods, whatever, you know it makes you sick, just avoid it on this front. Do not, because the last thing you need when you're trying to do 1,000 miles in a day is, oh, now you're sick because you ate something that you shouldn't have ate, and you do darn well you shouldn't be eating it. So keep that in mind. Don't eat something that's bad for you. And one more thing you can pack. Let's say you want cold drinks. Let's say you like when I did my run, I used to drink Diet Mountain Dew. I like Diet Mountain Dew. I used to love drinking it. So what I did for my run is I took a bunch of cans and threw them in a little cooler and strapped them down on my bike, just so I have, you know, just kind of a cold Mountain Dew to drink every once in a while, which I truly enjoyed. But if you like, let's say you want an energy drink, or you want like an iced tea, something like that, you know, things like that you can pack easily. You know, get yourself a little cooler, put some ice on it, keep them cold. Just one more of those little things that you can use to help motivate you. Kind of, you know, when it was warm out in the afternoon on that run, it was amazing how much, you know, an ice cold Diet Mountain Dew would kind of just, you know, get me motivated again. So something like that. Like I've said before, this whole deal, you want to try to be as self-sufficient as possible. You want to rely on, like I said, gas stations for only food, or not, excuse me, only fuel and restrooms. That's it. All right, so motorcycle wise and gear wise, obviously you want your good riding gear on. I got my riding pants on, I got my motorcycle jacket and my vest here, I got my gloves, I got thing of water, got my coffee in a little just thermos bottle. Honestly, if you like coffee and you want to keep it warm on the road, get one of these. They're about 20 bucks. You can find them at I think you can find them at Walmart and Target. But the biggest thing is there's two different kind of lids. You want the lid that's like this. It's kind of a vacuum lid. That's open, that's closed. But the best thing about this, look at that. And trust me, there's coffee in this thing. If you don't believe me, there's coffee in there, but closed. It's perfect for a motorcycle. And honestly, this keeps drinks warm, especially when it's full. I'll bet you it'd keep your coffee warm for probably 5-6 hours if you didn't touch it. Obviously, we got my helmet. The bike's all ready to go, as you can tell. One big thing, when you have items, don't choose the Iron Butt run to try out something new. Honestly, if you're going to put something new on before the run, make sure you spend plenty of time trying it out, deconflicting it beforehand. You don't want your brand new Senna 30K and free wire system to go haywire on you the first time you take it out, and the first time you take it out is your Iron Butt run. That's not the time to do it. Iron Butt runs is the time for, if you can get away with less technology, the better. Like me, I still got the old plug-in J&M system. Works great. Another thing to prepare for, if you like music or something like that, have all that stuff prepared for ahead of time. You can see here I got my XM, got my antenna. I've got it all pre-programmed with all the stations I like. Look, trust me, those are a lifesaver when you get to about miles 600, 700 and the miles seem to be droning on. Okay, so another part of the run is you got to have paperwork. We got to account for it somehow, right? That's what Iron Butt uses to account for everything. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want a little clipboard, just a little tiny one. This one come from Office Depot. There you go, there's your item number right there, just a little tiny clipboard. The reason you do this is when you're part of the run, you got to get your mileage on. And let me close that for you. Part of it is you need your mileage. Now, when I did my run, I did not do this. I tried to hold it with my hand, and let me tell you, when the wind's blowing, it's really hard to hold a little tiny receipt in your hand. So, get this little clipboard, hook your receipt there. Right there, I can take my picture right by my odometer mileage, and you're good to go. That is one big requirement, because you want all those mileage receipts. Every single one of them. Additionally, to your clipboard, you're going to want to either have copies of your of your ride log because you required it. Or what I do is I made, well, as you can tell, it's my iron butt book. Kind of a weird name, I know, but essentially what I did is I took this is pretty much exactly like the log that you could get an example of off the internet. Now, at the end of everything, I transferred all this to it. But as you can see from my last year run, put my stop number, which was start, your date, the time zone, motorcycle odometer, GPS odometer, which if you have one, great, and then the location description. And basically that's how we did all my stops. I would have this all pre-planned, pre-filled out. Like I said, keep this in a book, because if you keep this book, it's a little bit easier to keep track of than a whole bunch of loose sheets of paper. Plus, you could do it in chronological order. Another thing I do is I'll use little binder clips, and I usually start with one. I'll have it tabbed here so I can go right to the page I'm on. Then I'll do my 4 receipts for this page. Once that page is cleared out, I will put an additional tab on it. I will put an additional binder clip on it, move that to the side, and then move my binder clip, the other one, to that page. And I do one for every single page like that, just to keep all the receipts together and organized. Also, you're going to want a Ziploc bag. You don't need something special, just a standard Ziploc bag or anything that basically what you're doing with this is you're trying to keep the water out, because you don't want to get all your documents all sopping wet. The other thing, you're going to want plenty of pens. Now, I've only got 3 pens in there. Honestly, I like to have more like 6 or 7 pens and like 3 or 4 Sharpies, because I tend to over prepare. That's how I like to operate. Another thing you're going to want printed off is you're going to want copies of witness statements. You can get those from the Iron Butt website as well. The importance of them is if you have any kind of issue, any kind of problem, let's say a receipt won't print out, something like that, you can have a witness fill it out and you can submit that with paperwork. So I'd have like 10 or 12 of those just printed off and ready to go as well, just in case you need them. It never hurts to be over prepared. Another thing, if you're still really doubting first of all, if you're still kind of doubting your ability to ride a long distance, maybe this year isn't the year to do your Iron Butt run. Maybe instead of doing full 1,000 miles, just do a 500-mile run this year. Just do 500 miles. If you think you can do it, but you just want some I don't know, some reassurance, you know what? Plan out a 500-mile ride day. Just plan out 500 miles. You don't have to go too far. I mean, you can just make a big loop around your area, or, you can ride out 250 miles and back. There's many different ways to do it. I know in the hills, for example, if you were to do something like that, you could just take the loop all the way around the outside of the hills. I think it's like almost a 200-mile run. Just do 2 laps of that. Do like a 450, 500-mile day. Just kind of a way to, I guess, establish confidence that you can do it. I've said this before, but that was one of the big things that gave me the confidence to actually do an Iron Butt run was the day of the summer before, where I did a 550-mile day and didn't feel too terrible bad. That's what kind of gave me the confidence to finally go through and try to get this Iron Butt run done. So, by all means, it's not a bad idea to go take a long run, or even, honestly, even if you just ride a good 200 miles straight, you're probably going to know pretty quick if you can handle it or not. I mean, if you're having issues at 100 miles, then, well, obviously it's not going to work for you. But, and if you're planning a long run and you make it 100 miles and you're like, nope, I don't want to do this, you know what? Just ride home and call it good. If you want to keep going, then keep going and just kind of tell yourself, yep, this is good. But those are just some things you could do to get yourself ready. But so now what I'm going to do, the other thing you're going to want to do is practice. One big thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to practice your fuel stops, because honestly, the first time doing fuel stop on the run probably isn't the best thing. That was one mistake I made. Now, granted, got the job done. It wasn't too hard. It was pretty easy to kind of adapt to, but still, it was one of those things like I really think maybe I should have spent some time, practice a stop or two. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, everybody, back here. So a little check-in here from the editing studio. There's a few things I didn't quite mention or wasn't quite clear on. So obviously a few more packing suggestions. You want a decent digital camera for odometer pictures. Now, most you're going to say, oh, well, I got my phone. Yep, you do. But I want to make sure that if you, like, let's say you still use like an old, you still got an old flip phone or something like that, I would go find like a little cheap digital camera that you could use to take pictures of those fuel receipts, because I'm guessing your little flip phone camera, the pictures are probably not going to be good enough. You may want some kind of tracking device. You know, like I use a device that reports the spot walla. Now I actually don't have the spot device itself. I actually have the downloaded app for the Android app, and it basically it reports the spot walla. It only reports obviously when I'm in cell phone reception, so like I wouldn't use that in the backcountry or something like that, because you can't really, signal that you need help with it. But with this one, like going down the road, if you're in a spot where there's no reception, you come back into reception, the points will upload, it'll remember where you were on the earth with the phone GPS, so it's still going to track your points just right. It just won't, you can't use it to get you out of a jam. But make sure that's working and everything's working with that. Also, you probably want a printed copy of your GPS or of your route in case your GPS stops working. Technology doesn't work. Sometimes you have issues. If you got a quick, simple route, if you're doing 500 miles out and back, okay, that's pretty easy. Just remember where you got to go to turn around, But if you got a route where you got a lot of turns, something like that, you definitely want a copy of your directions just in case you have an issue. And also just a regular old paper map anyway, just in case you run into any other problems with like a road closed, something like that. In addition to that, obviously you're going to want any other items you would normally carry on your motorcycle. I'm not going to go into that because that's not what this video is about. A few other pre-ride preparations. Get on the Iron Butt Association website and thoroughly read and review everything about it. Go through the frequently asked questions, go through all that, get all the information you need. I'd also would suggest joining the IB Iron Butt Association. There's a group on Facebook where you can go. That way you can have a place to go ask questions, trade information, stuff like that. The more information you know about this, the better going in. Like I said before, make sure your tracker, whatever tracker you're using, is properly reporting to the corresponding website. Leading up to the run, make sure you're getting plenty of rest. Don't be going the night before you're going to leave on your Iron Butt run and sit up till like midnight drinking beers with your buddies, and then I'm gonna leave at 4 in the morning for an Iron Butt run. I would suggest not doing that. Honestly, that whole week beforehand, you're going to want to just relax, take it easy, get your sleep, because you're going to need it once you get on this Iron Butt run. Make sure your bike is good to go for a trip like any other trip. Enough said. And one final thing, don't fuel up the night before. If you're someone like me, before every trip, I like to fuel up the night before. I really had to commit myself to not going and fueling up the night before or the day before I started my run. I actually was at the gas station getting off, ready to fill up, and I realized, well, why am I filling this thing up? I'm going to need that space for fuel in the morning. So save that stop for the morning, use that as your start stop. But that's it. Alrighty, so when you get ready for your stop, obviously your stop starts the minute you get off the interstate. When you're coming off the off-ramp, obviously be thinking about traffic and stuff. In the back of your mind, be thinking about, okay, first thing I gotta do is get to a pump. Then I gotta get everything opened up. Then I gotta fuel up. Then I gotta do my receipt. Then I gotta do my trip log. And then I'm gonna pull out of the way, use the restroom, take a drink of water, eat a little something maybe, and keep going. All while making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a rider. Don't lose your mind. Alright, so I know my gas station's somewhere here. I did look it up on Google before I left like I was supposed to. Oh, there's my gas station right there. Locate it. Let's see, best way in. Okay, into this one here. Watch out for the tracks. Go to the stoplight, wait patiently. Don't break any laws, don't run any red lights, don't be stupid. Because here's what's going to kill your run, having to talk to a police officer for 30 minutes because you thought you had to run a red light. The key with the stops, it's slow and steady wins the race. You don't need to be rushing, but don't be piddle dinking around either, you know. Move with a sense of purpose. For those of you that are in the Army, you understand the term range walk. That's kind of what you're doing here. You're range walking. You don't run, you range walk. Alright, so there's the gas station right there. I think I'm going to go towards the end pumps. I tend to stay to the end pumps, so that way partially you don't have to talk to anybody. Because people, it never fails, you will never talk to anybody at the gas station until you're trying to do an iron butt run. And everybody wants to know what the hell you're doing and why you're doing it. And it's like, come on, man, you know. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and start my stopwatch here. And hold on, start. Okay. All right, so I wouldn't worry about using the center stand because it'll kill a few more minutes. And all right, with cards, have one good credit card with plenty of spending limit on it, and if you can, maybe have a backup just in case the bank does something dumb like put a hold on it or something because you're using it too much. I would carry some cash, obviously, as a just in case, but the biggest thing here is use a credit card. It'll save you so much time. You don't have to go inside, you don't have to do any of that prepay crap. No car wash. Yeah, you don't need to go full NASCAR on the stop, just because it's not a race. Actually, it is a race. You're racing against the clock, but you don't need to rush. I can already hear you complaining about, well, do we need to rush or not? Yes and yes. It's a fine line. Now when you're practicing this in the stop, I would do a full on, go to the bathroom, even if you don't gotta use it. Just practice it so you can account for that time. Part of the reason we do this too is not only practice, but also to figure out our baseline for how long our stops will take, so we can go back and finalize our plan. And yes, you want a receipt. And there we go. Sweet. Okay, now paperwork time. Now this obviously is for our purposes, we're going to call it stop number 1, whatever. You don't necessarily got a number on. Also, write the mileage on the receipt.
just like that. And then also, obviously, you need a camera, because if you don't have a camera, well, what I do is I do 2 of them. So there we go. We got our mileage, we got our stop number in there, we got the place where we're at in the world, and take a picture. And that's done. And if you got Spot Walla, Bubbler GPS, we're gonna do a new message, and we're gonna do a camera, and we're gonna do the same thing. Okay, and we're gonna accept that. Yep, and then it sent the message up and we're good to go. You use that as your backup plan. So now that's done. Don't forget about your trip log. And so, we're just going to do this is so that you can see where the tabbing is nice. So, stop 1. The date is 4 April 21. The time is, and I always do the receipt time, 26, Mountain Daylight Time. Oh, it is actually not 10:26. It's actually 9:26. They got the wrong time on the receipt. So, something like that. So we got Blackhawk SD. Receipt time is 1 hour ahead, and that's where you might want to use your written statement on something like that, or you could take another picture of it with the time right. Either way, it'll be right as long as you use Spot Walla. That's where that backup plan comes. If you're worried about people looking at you funny at the gas station talking to yourself, what do you think is going to happen when you're doing your iron butt run? Because this is exactly what you're going to be doing during that. So get over yourself. Alright, also, don't be a dick. Pull out of the way. Always pull out of the way. Sorry, you're gonna have to sit in the trunk. All right, we're back. Jeez. Right, so now's a good time to eat your Pop-Tart, whatever you're gonna eat. We're sitting about 12 minutes, about 13 minutes right now. That's when start to fill up, go inside, use the restroom. So it can be done. It can be done fairly quickly. You just gotta do it. Right now I'm simulating eating a Pop-Tart, but take your time, refill your drinks. Anytime you make a stop, make sure you just refill all your drink cups. Because why stop again when you can just do it now? Also, I wouldn't break up your stops. Go to the bathroom, fuel up, do everything at every stop. Don't just go, okay, well, I'm gonna stop here and fuel, and in 20 minutes, and I'm gonna ride across the street, and I'm gonna go eat something, and I'm gonna do this and that, because you're just killing time. Try to make it all in one stop as much as you can. All right, there we are, ready to go. Right at about 16 minutes. So, for my purposes, we're just going to say about 20-minute stop time. I think that's definitely more than adequate. That gives me another 4 minutes just in case something weird were to happen, like if I gotta go in line, get a receipt, whatever, something like that. So here's the thing. Now that we've done that, we got ourselves a baseline. Now be careful in parking lots. I know many a person that has been involved in a wreck in a parking lot. So keep your head on a swivel when you're trying to get out. Don't let your guard down at all. You shouldn't be doing that on a bike anyway, especially with a run like this. Definitely don't do that. And there we go, we're on it again. Now, for stops, I do stops right into the gas station, right to the pumps. So I don't worry about the time off the interstate, because Google Maps kind of figures that out for you beforehand. Give or take a few minutes for lights, but for the most part you should be okay. And as long as you're properly planning out your route, you should be able to avoid the hard on and off. You should be able to stick to the easy on and off areas. And just like that, you're back on the interstate, ripping up miles, getting to the next stop. Quick, easy, simple. Well, that is preparing for your iron butt run. Hopefully these videos are helpful. I know some of the comments on the first and second one, it sounds like overall positive. This has been good for those of you it's been helping. So the next part of this series is actually going to be doing the run. Now, I do apologize for the delay on this one. However, this one was kind of dependent on the weather getting good enough that I could go right to the gas station. I could do that whole kind of demonstration for you how to do a fuel stop right, or the helpful tips. Now the next one's going to be probably about as long. It's probably going to come out sometime in June, because it's gonna involve the iron butt running I'm doing over Memorial Day. You know, I may change my mind. I may just do a quick talk through one and not, you know, maybe have just some highlights from last year's run. I haven't decided yet, but I kind of would like to keep it current and to the run I'm actually doing. So, but anyways, if you're still with me, you're still in this video, I do have one question, and yes, I'm stealing this, but for my end screen crew, this thing right here, some of you know what it is, some of you do not. So I want to pose it to you in the comments. I want you to write a comment below. Now, if you already know what it is, don't spoil it for everyone else, but you know, just take your wildest guess of what it was. Or if before you knew what it was, write down what you first thought it was. If you do not know what it is, take a wild guess as to what it is. And this is good. This is good on this is good for everything. This is good for all platforms, Facebook, YouTube. Write a comment if you've made it to this point. Of those comments, I'm probably just going to randomly pick a comment, and probably going to get a t-shirt out of the deal or something like that. I got some Sodak motorcycle blog t-shirts. So if you do write a comment and you do want a t-shirt, make sure that I have the ability to reach out to you, that I can actually talk to you. Or if I reply back to your comment saying, hey, you want a t-shirt, DM me so we can so I can send you it. You better be available to get it. Once again, this is Clutch. We'll talk to you later.